Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Recently, a friend of mine, Jason from Element Bushcraft, invited me to attend a bushcraft gathering in Northwest Ohio. The purpose for this bushcraft gathering is to learn and practice bushcraft construction skills. The purpose of this video is to share the preparations I'm making in order to attend the 5-day event. Before we get into it, I must tell you it's pretty warm today and it's going to get a lot hotter. So the bushcraft laboratory is going to be very, very, very warm. I'm going to have to open up all the doors and all the windows. You're going to hear a lot of sounds that normally you don't hear in my videos, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize for that now. The second thing is, if by any chance you happen to follow my Instagram account, I have used to have a link attached in my YouTube account to Boondockery. It used to be called Coulter Krieger. I served in the military during the Cold War. Coulter Krieger is German for Cold Warrior. That's why I chose that name. I recently changed the name over to Boondockery to go along with my YouTube channel. Folks, some salacious individual has hacked and hijacked that account. I spent a lot of time yesterday trying to recover it, to no prevail. And because Instagram is owned by Facebook, every single person I've ever talked to that's had their Facebook account hijacked, which means someone else took it and began using it for whatever they're using it for, it's lost. However, I understand, loss. I spent a lot of time working on that account. I've been on it well in excess of 7 years. Had a lot of memories shared in there, had a lot of photographs. I lost a lot of things in our house fire. So I've gone ahead and looked at my Instagram account as being just like the items I lost in the house fire. It's gone, there's nothing I can do about it, so it's time to move on. However, there is one thing that you can do that possibly will at least prevent whoever hijacked my account from victimizing anyone else. This person is supposedly posing as me and trying to sell you bogus bitcoins. And I really didn't even know what bitcoins were, but apparently you can buy them on my account now. If you are already following that account, make certain you report the account as not being mine. Then, once you have gone through that process, make certain that you block that individual and unfollow them. Whatever you need to do to prevent yourself from receiving these bogus Bitcoin or whatever else the individual is trying to scam you with. That way it's over and done with. That way Instagram knows about it. And if Instagram knows about it from hundreds of people as opposed to just one or two, hopefully they'll shut that account down. Again, I did everything I possibly could and to no prevail. And I know the big corporate entity of Instagram and Facebook could care less if someone has my account and misusing it. And as of right now, I really have no intentions whatsoever of starting another Instagram account. That may change in the future, but as of right now, that account's been hijacked, it's been hacked. Do what you can to make certain that Instagram knows that it has been. Block, unfollow, protect yourself. Don't answer anything that's supposedly coming from Boondockery or Coulter Krieger with my image on it. Nothing at all. I won't be sending anything out. Just needed to let everyone know about that as soon as I possibly could. Now, let's look at some of the stuff I'm going to be taking with me. These are the tools I assembled that I'm going to be taking with me to the gathering. At one time, I had a fantastic collapsible bow saw, which comes in handy for really big tasks. Really makes things go a whole lot easier, but unfortunately, I have not been able to locate that for quite some time. I went ahead and had a fantastic opportunity. Again, another sale. I was able to pick up a Silky Big Boy And this right here will probably be taking care of my larger cutting tasks I need to do. Supposedly the big boy can handle really big jobs. I have a smaller silky saw for medium tasks, and it's a little more handy to deal with pretty decent size cutting tasks, especially if it's in confined spaces, than the big boy. This one right here I have used extensively, and as much as I love my Baco Laplander, my Baco is not a silky. I want to use this for fine detail things like notching, any smaller tasks, finishing tasks. This will be my finishing saw. So I have saws for large tasks, medium tasks, and small tasks. We're going to be creating a lot of different types of construction. And one of the things we're going to be we have to decide how we're going to handle it. We're either going to build a bridge that crosses Ottawa Creek that goes through the property there, or we're going to be building a ferry. And we're going to make that decision collectively once we get there. We're also going to be looming grass mats that we can use to sleep on, and also for the walls of a Quonset style house. I call it a longhouse, but a Quonset style bent frame structure. And for cutting the grass and vines, similar small flexible things, a bill hook does a fantastic job. A scythe or a sickle is absolutely fantastic for grasses. However, that's pretty much all that they're really good for. Taking out that small flexible materials, and it have to be really, really sharp. A bill hook can do a very good job with grasses, reeds, cattails, those types of vegetation. However, you can also use this for cutting larger things like grapevines, heavier branches. And if you choke up on the handle, you can also do finishing work with the bill hook that you cannot do with a scythe or a sickle. I'm taking a small Grantsford Brooks axe. Nothing major. I'm not planning on felling any trees. I'm certain that somebody else already has that covered. And I am going to be taking my ESSI 6HM. This is going to be primarily for batoning. When I use my saw to help cut notches, I'm going to be cutting lines, indentations into any of the branches or logs with my saws, and I'll be using my ESSI 6HM to be able to put down in those grooves and just twist it to pop those out. And it's large enough an area to even a larger piece I can get in to do finishing work. Of course, with all of these, I have some type of a blade protector, whether it's a sheath, blade covers for any of these that cannot be folded and be able to be transported safely. I'm not a safety Nazi. I'm not Captain Safety. I appreciate all of that. However, common sense tells me you don't go trucking around camp, through the woods with a fascine knife. You don't go trucking through the woods, walking long distances over branches, slippery rocks, mud, with an exposed blade. If you're not using it, it's in its sheath or blade coverings. Since I'm going to be using edged tools and also manhandling a lot of different types of woods and ropes, I got a heavier pair of work gloves. Lastly, with the tool section, not lastly, but almost lastly, I have my USGI entrenching tool. We're going to be constructing a clay bake oven. This will be fantastic for digging up the clay to make the oven with, also for digging latrines or if we need to make any type of abutments in order to build a bridge. If we decide to go with a bridge, we'll need something to excavate the ground to be able to place the logs in position for that. Not as many uses for the shovel with the tasks we're going to be doing. However, there are a few, and that will come in just fine and handy. I'm also going to be taking a wooden mallet. I've made dozens of these throughout the years. This very well may be one thing that we make as part of the gathering. Everyone could make their own mallet. However, I'm going to go ahead and take this just in case, so that way we have one and ready for use before we get in with any other types of construction, of any other types of makeshift bushcraft tools we'll be using. Jason really wants us to use a lot of natural materials. Whatever we are not going to be procuring from the woodland area that we're going to be staying in for the next 5 days, like if we're going to be making our own cordage, we can supplement whatever we're not going to be able to have time to produce or the materials to produce them with natural fiber cordages ropes. I've got a couple bundles of sisal rope, and I love working with sisal. I actually like using sisal as part of my fire kit. It does a fantastic job. And we're going to be using jute. Jute is another fantastic material that I also use as part of my fire kit. Lashing with rope is going to be for large, heavy things like logs. If we decide we're going to build a ferry, even if we're going to be building a bridge, using sisal rope, even like a little bit narrower rope than this, that's going to come in very handy. It's going to be much stronger of a material to use than with the jute. Jute can very easily be used to finish off the cut ends of the rope and be able to prevent that from fraying out once we cut it. We're going to be doing almost all of our lashing with jute. Any of the small stuff with jute. Whenever we're making our structures, if we build the framework to create the clay oven, all of those tasks will be done with small cordage like jute. It's flexible, it'll get the job done, and it's very strong once you lash it around several times. I just pulled these items out so you can see them. I have a spool of 150 foot of sisal that I'm going to be taking. It's in a wrapper and everything. Didn't want to unwrap it until we get out to the woodland. And I'm going to be picking up on my journey north, I'm going to be picking up more jute along the way. I anticipate us using a lot of jute. I'm going to pick up at least 6 more spools of this size, if not up to 10. That should give us a substantial amount of jute to be able to use. And I always use this stuff. If by any chance we wind up not needing all of it, that's perfectly fine. I'll bring it back home and be using it for something in the future. I was also able to use some of these spool cards that I purchased from J. Barry Miller from Tough Possum Gear. And 2 of these are primarily for my personal camp, just in case I need them. It's 2 different diameters of bank line. One's much smaller, it's waxed, or it's got a tacky surface on it, tacky coating. And this is pretty nice because when I use this, even though it's this is almost thread-like material, it'll hold in position when I tie it, and you know, it's not slippery. This, however, the larger diameter is not coated, and this, I find this very difficult to work with. However, hanging things, if you're going to be doing a quick lash to hold something in position until you can finish it off with some other cordage, this works perfectly fine. And it's very strong. If I want to use this for a bear bag, even though there's no bear in Northwest Ohio that I'm aware of anyway, I'll just call it a critter bag to be able to suspend my food bag from a tree while I'm there. I also have very small, I forget how many ply this is, but this is almost thread-like as well. However, this is also jute, which would be excellent to use on loose ends of rope as well. I'll be taking all of these plus a little bit more once I pick it up on the way up for my contribution to the lashing materials. These are the items I've assembled for my shelter and sleep system. It consists of a Helicon Tech Swagman roll. I'm going to be using this as a top quilt. I have a heavy-duty space blanket I use as a ground sheet, so I have something clean and dry to stand on when I'm getting in and out of my hammock. I'm utilizing a Kafaru Doobie, which is essentially a heavy version of a U.S. Army poncho liner I'm going to be using as a bottom quilt. I have my hammock. I have a hammock bug net. I have all the cordage I need to set up my shelter, tent pegs, and a tarp for my shelter. One of the wonderful things about this gathering is that we're actually going to have 4 meals provided for us. We're going to have 2 suppers and 2 breakfasts. That way, I don't have to worry about the bulk of taking a lot of extra food. However, we are supposed to take some type of a mess kit, and I want to have a stove with me just in case. I have some coffee with me, which that was another luxury that we were told we would have, is coffee throughout the weekend. I did bring a small amount of coffee with me just in case, and I have a stove set up so I can warm up water. I plan on having my lunchtime meals and any of the meals that we are not having catered to us. I'm going to have those hand-to-mouth meals. Meals that do not need heated, that are good cold, and that are nutrient and calorie rich. I really want to have the maximum amount of calories and nutrition as I can, because we're gonna be working pretty hard. Like I said, this is the remainder of my kit, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get all of this into one bag, especially once I compress a couple of my items from my sleep system. I have my standard 2 Hydro Pack. These are silicone water bottles. They're 1 liter each. I have my coffee cup, my insulated GSI cup. I have my essentials bag. These are the things that I always take with me no matter what. Worst case scenario, that right there should be able to facilitate my survival in the woods if this is all that I had. I'm also taking my primitive fire kit. This is a lot of the stuff I used when I was reenacting. Pure primitive. I have a pretty good idea we're going to have a little bit of extra time, and if we want to show each other different fire making tricks or techniques that we've learned throughout the years, we would have that available, and for me to be able to learn additionally what someone else has put in their primitive kit. I have 2 4-liter water bladders. The water there, Ottawa Creek runs through the property. Ottawa Creek meanders through miles upon miles of farmland. That tells me that we're going to have all kinds of farm runoff. That's defoliant. A lot of people have switched to the no-till gardening, so that means they hose everything down with defoliant and kill everything, and then they go through after it rains a few times, and then they plant again. I'm certain that there's a whole lot more involved in that. Don't give me grief on that. However, they use chemicals to do that. All of that runoff goes into the creek. I have filters for my water bottles. The nice thing about my filters is they fit the bladders and the individual water bottles, and they're designed in a manner in which you can drink straight through the filter. I want to have extra water. I know this is not enough to get me through 5 days. I know that. Maybe a day, day and a half, but I want to have enough to start off with. Also to allow my system to adapt to whatever other water sources we have. We are supposed to be building a water still a solar water still, and I'm certain that they have plans on filtration as well to get those particulates and chemicals out of the water. The still should do it. Essentially, we are creating distilled water. I have my rectangular Esbit cook set. Inside my rectangular cook set, I have an extra lighter and 16 solid fuel tabs. Again, just in case I wake up before everyone else, which is often the case, I can make myself a cup of coffee and wait for the others to stir before they put the big batch of coffee on. This container here has a wash basin, everything I need to clean my pot, because we're supposed to be having the meals catered to us. We needed a mess kit, and this doubles as a cook set and a mess kit, a mess tin if I need that. I have everything I need to wash and clean up after myself here, and I have all of my utensils in here as well for eating. This is my Bible and my notebook. This is an extra headlamp. I always have a headlamp and a flashlight in here, and this is the one I always have with me. Anything happens to this one, I have my fallback. I have my folding camp table, folding camp chair, a brush to comb my golden locks. This has AA batteries for my headlamp and my flashlight should I need them, extra batteries. This has basic medicines in it, cyanide, burn ointment, real basic little things that I keep in here. Earplugs, just little sundry items that I want to have quick and at the ready, so I don't have to go through my toiletries kit to go through that. My toiletry kit is in here. And this, I have all of the wipes I normally carry with me. These are sanitary wipes, and I also have all of my mosquito repellent in here, all of which are sealed in separate Ziploc bags. I call this my skincare bag. This has my 2 water filters in it for my bladders. I also have a lot of electrolyte and energy, as in vitamin enriched powdered drinks in there. And this is pretty much my hydration kit. I'm going to go ahead and open these things up and let you see what it looks like if everything's removed from the bags. Now you might be thinking, like, why are you doing it like this? Shouldn't you show us everything and then show us what it looks like in the bags? Well, yes, I actually should. However, I forgot to do that. So I packed everything up and forgot to show you what all's in there. Now, my hydration bag, I have my 2 water filters, and I have these great little socks that go on the water filters, and this prevents particulates from getting in and clogging up the filters. Like I said, I have my I have all kinds of things in here. I have vitamin enriched drink powders. I have electrolyte drink powders. I've even got one that has vitamin B12 and a little caffeine for a kick. And I got some Copaco. I've got a few of those, and I've got a few regular freeze-dried coffee sticks. And this is just the hydration thing, various types of drinks. This right here, like I said, is my skincare kit. I have a couple packs of wet ones, and then I also have various forms of insect repellent. And this right here, I really hope that the temperature gets down fairly low early enough in the evening so I don't have to use a whole lot of this stuff. I've got extra if I need it, but I'd rather not have to use any of it. I dislike those things. This is my utensil kit, and this is everything that's in it so far. I have a titanium fork, titanium spoon, a lighter, and an open nail knife. And eventually this will grow. Whenever I start doing a little more cooking, I will have room for other items to put in this. It's a nice little convenient way to carry them. And I'm carrying these with my cleanup stuff. I have a Scotch-Brite pad, I have dishwashing liquid, a dish rag, dish towel, and a rubberized wash basin that's portable, and all that goes in one bag. I have just basic first aid, basic little things on here. There's a couple ibuprofen in there, some alcohol preps, hand sanitizer, lip ointment, just little sundry items that, you know, normally when you get them in large containers, they get bulky really quick. And I have a pair of earplugs in here. This is the container I have for my spare batteries, and that goes in spare battery. This is my waterproof New Testament, and this is my Write in the Rain notebook, Write in the Rain pen, Sharpie, pencil, and all kinds of nice, neat little additional items that are in these Write in the Rain notebooks. Makes them very handy. Hopefully we'll be taking a lot of notes, and that'll come in very handy. I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff back in the packages, and I'll remind everyone what's in my must-go bag. This is the breakdown of my must-go bag. These are things that must go with me every single time I hit the woods. This is a pretty decent do-it-yourself first aid kit. This is not an IFAC. This is a basic first aid kit that I've assembled from things that I know I would actually be using. I have a decent hank of 550 cord. I have a 100% cotton bandana, aka USGI bandage. They use it as a sling. I always use them as a do-rag. I have a flashlight and a headlamp. I have a stainless steel folding trowel I use for multiple reasons, one of which is to go to the bathroom. At one time I forgot my spoon, and I actually cleaned this one up and used it to eat with. This is a sewing kit in here. This is a small roll of Gorilla Tape, and this is my breakdown of my fire kit. It has the ferromecium rod that Jay Neighbors gave me, Ephesians 6:11 on there, and I've got my pocket bellows. I think this is the original one that was really long. Cigarette lighter, and homemade fire starters, and storm matches. That's my basic fire kit. I've been playing around with mule tape quite a bit, and I found out that it is incredibly strong and incredibly versatile, and I found a place that I can get regular mule tape. I think it has like a 1,600 pound weight capacity it could withstand, and I have one section, it's a 16 feet long, one section which is 32 feet long. My toiletries kit consists of some Gold Bond powder, earplugs, little hand soap sheets, there's 50 sheets in there, toothpaste, toothbrush, pill bottles for my supplements, and I have basically toothpicks that have the floss built into them. I have a little container of travel towels, which these are actually compressed washcloths, and I can take these, I can dry them out, reuse them, or they are pretty much disposable. I bring them home and throw them away at the end of a outing. And I have my ponytail holders and a microfiber towel, and this is pretty much, this will be more than sufficient to get me through the 5 days up there. And I always take a bag of plastic shopping bags. These come in handy for all kinds of things. I could probably do a video on just all the purposes that I've used these things for over the years. But that's the breakdown of my must-go items, must-have items every time I go to the woods. Okay folks, I went ahead and got everything loaded into 2 packs and one of my Mystery Ranch load cells. This is my Mystery Ranch Komodo Dragon, and this has my entire camp in it and a few other things. This pack is a brand new pack. I've never had a chance to use it yet. It's the Eagle Industries Invader 50-liter pack. And this is virtually identical in its design to the Kelty Red Wing 50. And I'm really anxious to see anyone else that has a Kelty Red Wing, because I'd like to do some comparisons between how this is manufactured versus how the Kelty's manufactured. I watched a few videos on the Kelty. There was absolutely nothing about the Invader whatsoever as far as videos go. There are a ton of Kelty Red Wing 50 videos out there. There are a few things where they've replaced mesh with spandex, and other than that, I think pretty much everything is the same. I tried it on. The fit is iffy. It's supposed to have an adjustable yoke system in the back, and I tried to adjust it as far as I could, and it still wasn't riding quite right, but I'll have time to figure that out at the event. And for the most part, I probably won't be carrying either of these packs except from the side-by-side to my campsite, so I won't really get a good opportunity to put any miles in with either one of them. But I was really intrigued by this. I got a fantastic buy on eBay. These regularly go for about $600, and I was able to pick this up for a good bit less than $200, which I believe the Kelty Red Wing usually sells for between $125 and $150 depending where you buy them. So a fairly comparable price, but being in multicam, anything in multicam is always a lot more expensive. I've also got my two 4-liter water bladders over there, and hopefully I've got everything I need. The only thing I don't have on display right now is my camera bag, which is a small multicam day pack that I put all my camera equipment in. And you know, of course, I'm still using my camera, so that's not going to be loaded just yet. As soon as I get this shot, get it finished, we'll be ready to roll. But anyway, this is what the 5 days of bushcraft construction is going to be for me. And I've got everything in 2 bags. Shouldn't be any problem whatsoever getting everything in one trip off the side-by-side and getting it to where my camp's going to be set up. Well folks, I'm all packed up and ready to roll. I head out tomorrow, which is Thursday, fairly early in the morning. I'm going to be driving 3 hours to the northwest of Ohio and meet up with whoever's going to meet me and go ahead and get this show on the road. And I'm really looking forward to it. 5 days of bushcrafting, getting to interact and connect, network with other bushcrafters, and to learn some new things and possibly be able to teach a few folks something else along the way. I'm really looking forward to it. Folks, remember, if by any chance you followed my Instagram account, whether it was Boondockery or Calder Krieger, make certain that you don't accept any messages from them. And if you would, contact Instagram, let them know that it's not me, and once you've done that, go ahead and block and unfollow them. That way you won't have any chance of having these people harass you with salacious intent. Well folks, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.